welcome back to this week's Tech Talk. Every week we try to explain how to solve everyday problems with your everyday technology you might be using. This week we are talking about Wi-Fi routers and how you and me can understand them more. With me as Tech Talk expert, Chris Jennings. Thank you, Christopher. Hello.
Hello, Sarah. Nice to be back.
And what are we talking about with Wi-Fi routers today?
Well, Wi-Fi routers, we've probably all got one. They come in different shapes and sizes. But the technology of a Wi-Fi router, it has to be used correctly or it won't work properly. And there's certain things you have to do with a Wi-Fi router to keep it working properly. Not a lot of people know, which we're going to find out today. One of the first things, which is quite relevant at the moment, is heat. Wi-Fi routers do not like heat at all.
Bit like me in my menopause,
Absolutely.
Christopher. Bit like me in my menopause.
Yeah. One of the worst things you can do is to have a Wi-Fi router sat on top of another device that gives off heat, like a skybox or a TV box or anything like that. The Wi-Fi router should always be on a shelf on its own. And most Wi-Fi routers, as you'll see under this one here, they have vents on the bottom.
Okay. So.
Yeah, you can see those vents. There's all the vent holes on the bottom. Now, if you block those, it's going to overheat. So always make sure it's on a flat surface so it gets airflow.
Doesn't need to be a window or anything.
No,
so
window's even worse because you get the sun in. It needs to be in a shady place. I know it sounds a bit daft, but because we're in such a hot climate, electronics are just not designed to cope with it. So you have to help them a little bit. Now, when a Wi-Fi router overheats, the symptoms are things start to slow down. Your streaming starts to buffer all the time. And sometimes things won't even stop connecting to it. That's a good sign that your Wi-Fi is overheating, or it just needs a reboot.
And how do we do a reboot, Chris, on the Wi-Fi router?
Right. Now, Wi-Fi routers, they're not very powerful, and it doesn't take much for them to get clogged up and confused and start to go bleh and slow down and stop.
That's me on a Sunday morning after a Saturday night out.
Pretty much how you feel on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, I know that feeling, clogged up and
That's right. A poor little Wi-Fi router, a hard night streaming, and it's feeling pretty bleh the next morning. Now, you may ring up your internet provider's support and say, oh, my internet's really, really slow. And one of the things they will first tell you to do is to reboot your Wi-Fi router.
We've all heard of a reboot before.
Right, now let me show you. This is very important. You do this the right way. If you look on your Wi-Fi router, a lot of Wi-Fi routers, particularly the ones that we use here, there, if I can show you there, they have what's called a reset button. Now, you must never, ever press that reset button because any configuration that the...
Why not, Chris? Are we going to go boom?
Well, you could do. But more importantly, any configuration your internet provider's put into that router, if you press that reset button, you've lost it. And that means an engine's got to come around.
So when they've put all the passwords in,
all the passwords, the Wi-Fi stuff.
Make it forget everything.
That's it. You press that reset button, you're going to lose all that. And you're going to have an engineer around to reprogram it for you. So remember, never press any button that says reset.
No.
Now to reboot your Wi-Fi, all you do is power it down for about 10 seconds. And in the back of all routers, there's a little power supply, like this one. It's a little black plug with a little barrel connector on the end. You just grab hold of it. You're not going to break anything. Just grab hold of it, pull it out.
So you don't need to unplug the thing from the wall. You don't need to take the power supply out the wall. You can use that.
You can do it that way, but it's much easier just to grab the plug and pull it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've got so many plugs behind my telly, I can't even count.
No, you probably don't work out which one is the right one.
I'll know with that Wi-Fi router which one it is.
Just grab the plug, pull it out, count to 10 seconds, plug it back in again. Simple as that. And that's your Wi-Fi router rebooted. Now, once you've done that, you'll see all the lights flashing away, blah, 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 blah. It can take 10, 20 seconds for the Wi-Fi router to reboot, literally like a computer when you have to reboot a computer. Once all that settles down, try and connect again with your device, and 9 times out of 10 you'll find things are flying again, like they used to be.
Right. And what's
Okay.
that 10th time?
The 10th time is when there's another issue,
Okay.
which obviously the support department of your internet provider will say, well, we tried the obvious, that hasn't fixed it, so we need to go to plan B. And whatever it is, they'll go on to the next plan. But that's nearly always the first thing an internet provider support department will tell you to do. So, to save yourself a phone call, if things are getting a bit sluggish, just do that. Reboot your Wi-Fi router.
And what other problems do they sometimes have, the routers?
Right. Now, other problems Wi-Fi routers have, the biggest one is interference with other things in the house that are using wireless, or even a neighbour could be interfering with your Wi-Fi.
My neighbour's coming in my house and touching my router?
Well, they could do, but what they're doing is that they've got a router right next to yours. If you're like in a terrace building and you've got 2 routers back to back with just a wall between them, they could interfere with each other. So, what was you looking at there?
I was just looking at the bottom of it.
Oh, it's a very nice bottom, isn't it? Yes. Now, you may find that if you if you are interfering with your neighbour, don't get me wrong.
No.
We're talking about Wi-Fi routers here.
Routers all
If you're
day long.
interfering with your neighbour, Wi-Fi routers have what's called channels. In fact, they have up to 13 different channels. That's like different Wi-Fi frequencies they can use. Now, what your ISP, your internet service provider, will do, if that reboot doesn't fix it, the next thing he'll probably do is log into it if he can, and then change the wireless channel so it's not transmitting on the same one as your neighbours, so they don't clash.
So is that anyone can do that, or this is with the internet
People are a little bit
company
more
should
techie, can do it themselves. It's not easy to do it yourself if you don't know your way around a Wi-Fi router.
So you're best off
You're
contacting
best
your
off
provider.
calling your internet provider and say, yeah, I got a problem with Wi-Fi. They'll check it out. They'll
We've
say,
done the basic
Yeah.
reboot.
hmm
Can they do it remotely? Can they?
Most can. Some can't. If a person has bought their own Wi-Fi router and it's been configured to your internet provider's system, often they can't access that. That's why they provide their own routers that they've set up, so they can access them in times of problems.
And is there any specific location in the house they need to be, apart from somewhere with some air and in the shade?
Surprisingly, yes. Wi-Fi routers, you can't just plonk them anywhere and expect them to work at their best. They'll work, but to get the best out of your Wi-Fi router, to get the fastest speed, the first thing, if you've got more than one antenna, like this one has 2 antennas, some have 4, some have 6, some have 1. The important thing is it must be vertical.
Okay. Yep.
And if there's any others, they must be parallel to it and vertical. A lot of people make the mistake of sort of doing this, thinking that they'll get a better spread. Or
Does it not look
or
prettier
like
that
this.
way?
It looks prettier maybe, but it ain't going to work so well.
Ah, okay. So they need to be up to get the best.
You may be asking, well, why do they move then if they've got to be straight up? Simple answer to that is, some people put them on a wall like that.
Oh.
So then you can do that.
Okay.
Some people put them on a wall like that. So you can do that. This is not ideal because you can't get them absolutely parallel. But
But you need them facing.
they've got to be
vertical.
upright and parallel to each
And
other.
not hidden in a cupboard,
Right.
not popped away
Where
because
you
it looks all
actually-
pretty in the
Yeah,
house. Away
that's
from.
another thing. A lot of people sort of shove them in a cupboard under the table, lock them in a cupboard.
Or as I did for a few years and wasn't sure why my internet was an issue, behind my fish tank.
Ah, yes. Now, fish tank. A Wi-Fi router sees water as a brick wall. It can't get through it. And because what it's doing is sending out radio waves to your devices, the better it can see your devices, the better connection you're going to get. Now, because you had a fish tank beside your Wi-Fi, say I was on my mobile phone here, the phone couldn't see the Wi-Fi router, so it was not very good. As soon as we moved it away from the fish tank, boom, off it went.
Oh. Lessons learned from
Yeah,
me.
that's
It's
right.
a complete technophobe. Lessons learned.
To get the best connection to your Wi-Fi router, you want it about 1 metre off the ground, and you want to be able to physically see those antennas from where your device is. Not always practical.
So if you're on your terrace, then you can't see them. Are you
No.
still going to pick up
You'll
your
still
Wi-Fi?
get a signal, but it's not going to be the fastest. It's not going to be working at its maximum. There's various devices you can get to boost the signal outside, but that's another story. That's basically with the position. Quite important to think about it. Don't lock it in a cupboard with doors, because remember, every layer that signal's got to get through, be it a door or a wall or a window, weakens the signal each time. It's like sound. If you shout at somebody, the more obstructions between you and the person you're shouting at, the less they hear. Exactly the same with Wi-Fi routers.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense.
Think of it like that. Yeah.
Learned a lot today.
Yeah. There are other things we need to think about with Wi-Fi routers. One of the biggest things we have discovered on campus, especially, a lot of people, that's you guys, you've been installing solar panels. Now, there is one particular type of solar panel that we have found a real problem with Wi-Fi. It's called the Solar 2000. Now, this is a known problem. There's plenty about it on the internet. Basically, the Solar 2000 has a wireless radio in it, which blasts out the house. It's very powerful.
So solar panels has a wireless radio connected
That's right,
somewhere.
and it's very powerful, and it blows away Wi-Fi in the house. And if your installer isn't able to turn that off, which often they can't for whatever reason, then sometimes the only option is to go for a different type of router which uses a completely different frequency, which is something else we can talk about later.
And for that you need to contact your provider,
Contact your provider and say, look, I've got interference from my solar panels. Can you provide me with a different router?
What about from next door solar panels? Would that affect
we
you?
have had an occasion where the neighbour's solar system has bled over their Wi-Fi and made it really bad. And there's not a lot you can do about that. Have a shout at your neighbour, but he can't help it.
Don't shout at your neighbour.
Say, turn your Wi-Fi off. Yeah, but no, he can't do nothing.
Oh, that's brilliant today, Chris. We've learnt so much today. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming along. And thank you very much for watching. And don't forget to tune in the same time next week for more tech talk. Goodbye, everybody. Bye.